Have you ever hit a move perfectly in class, only for it to never work against anyone better than you? If your game only works when everything goes right, that's not a game, it's a gamble. Whenever you're learning a guard pass, for example, you have to be able to do the guard pass to your left and to your right. It doesn't really work out if you can only do the knee cut when your opponent is on one of their hips and not the other. So you need to practice drilling both sides equally. However, a lot of times you end up being able to do the move really well on one side and not so well on the other. That's your dumb side. If you get put in a Kimura or an armbar, you can't really say, hey bro, I can get out of this. It looks pretty cool when I do it, but could you switch over to my other arm so I'm able to do that escape? No, you're stuck with what you have to make it work. That's why you have to be double-sided. But one of the major problems that's in modern grappling is all of the different rule sets and contexts. In wrestling and in judo, once you're on the ground, one of the main goals is to flip your opponent onto their back and keep them there so that you get the pin. And because of that, there's plenty of techniques about how to stay flat on your stomach, work your way out while they're trying to attack, and for the person on top to be able to worm their way in and flip them over. But all of that goes out the window when you're practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you go to your belly, that's a death sentence where they're just gonna strangle you. So instead you wanna be on your back with your limbs in front of you, able to defend. The great equalizer is MMA, when strikes are involved. And even then, their rules are all over the place. So if you have someone who does wrestling or judo in MMA get taken to the ground, they go belly down, they're gonna get their head split open. In that context, Jiu-Jitsu is the better grappling art when looking at it holistically, all around. But don't get me wrong, Jiu-Jitsu has its problems too, especially when we get into the gi. If you do anything that's gi exclusive like worm guard or spider guard, that's really not gonna fly too well in MMA, mostly because there's nothing for you to grab. But even then, there's other positions that you should never do in MMA, like deep half guard. Fundamentally, it works really well when you're doing Jiu-Jitsu. Get underneath someone's center of gravity, flip them over. But in MMA, if you try to do deep half guard, I'm sure, even though I probably can't find B-roll for this, you're gonna get your teeth knocked in. So what's the best art to train? What are the best techniques to learn? In my opinion, it's techniques that work all the time, regardless of the rule sets, including self-defense where there's practically no rules. Certain techniques go right out the window because the rule set protects you. Most judo throws, if you mess them up, the way you're throwing them, the response is to drop the turtle, in which case the ref is just gonna stand you up, like the Seoi Nage. That's not a good throw to do in Jiu-Jitsu or MMA because if you mess up and drop the turtle, now you're stuck there. Or the double leg in wrestling. It is by far one of the most foundational takedowns in all of grappling, but when done in MMA, you're probably gonna get your teeth knocked out and it's not even allowed in judo. So what are the best techniques to learn? That comes down to your ROI, your return on investment. Let's look at takedowns. We'll put them in 3 different categories, easy, medium, and hard. If I'm trying to zero to hero someone, I'm gonna teach them a sacrifice throw, like an ukiwaza, or a tani otoshi. Either one of those has you get a hold of your opponent and then just rip them to the ground while you're falling. Easy to learn, works in practically any context, no rules are there to prevent you. Sure, if this was self-defense, you're gonna bounce off the concrete pretty hard, but you need to get them to the ground so you can live. For a medium takedown, I would take something like an ogoshi. Works in all rule contexts and doesn't leave you in a bad situation. But one of the best throws to learn is a foot sweep. If you miss, there's practically no consequences for it. Whereas other throws, if you miss, you're usually stuck on bottom. It does take months, if not years, to be able to get the timing down, but the return on investment is truly the best. Putting it all together, the hardest thing people have when trying to learn how to grapple is being able to do the move on multiple sides. Passing the guard to the left or the right, learning how to attack an underhook from one side or the other. At a minimum, you need to be able to defend any technique that you're put in because you don't really have a choice of what pin, what guard, or what submission they're gonna throw on you. But as you're learning your game, you don't need more techniques or to go wider. You need to go deeper. But more importantly, don't go too deep on techniques that are only single serving. If your thing is gi jiu-jitsu and that is all you ever wanna do, more power to you. Prioritize techniques based on the return of investment. Flying armbars are great, but armbars from guard are way more likely to occur. But most importantly, don't prioritize spending time mastering techniques that the rule sets make plausible.